Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Tevaron here, and welcome to another episode of Friday Night Magic, where we are continuing to explore the new format now that Eldritch Moon has been released. This week, we're going to be running some Orzhov Angel Control, in which we attempt to kill everything the opponent tries to play and win on the wings of angels. The deck list is 2 deadweight to help us against the many myriad human-based and other aggressive strategies. 1 black for an enchantment that gives a creature -2/-2. 3 Blessed Alliance. I have been very impressed with this card. At worst, it is a bit easier to cast Celestial Flare. For white and 1, we can choose one or more of the following. Target player gains 4 life, untap up to 2 target creatures, or target opponent sacrifices an attacking creature. And then the escalate is for each 2 we pay in addition to the casting cost, we can choose an additional mode. If we pay 6, we can choose all 3 modes. 3 Grasp of Darkness, one of the premier removal spells from the last format. 2 black to give target creature -4/-4 until end of turn. 2 Declaration in Stone. For a white and 1, we exile target creature and all other creatures its controller controls with the same name as that creature. Then that player investigates for each non-token creature exiled this way. I generally don't like this card in a control deck. However, with the restricted options that we have on Magic Duels, I think it's a fine inclusion in this deck. 2 Oath of Liliana, one of the new cards, again, for a black and 2, an enchantment, legendary enchantment at that. When Oath of Liliana enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a creature, so it's removal, and it also provides us with a 2/2 black zombie creature token during the end step if we played a Planeswalker that turn, and we do have some Planeswalkers in the deck. We are also running 3 Murder. Very happy that it was included in the version of Eldritch Moon released on Magic Duels. For 2 black and 1, instant speed, destroy target creature. Plain and simple. Good removal. 2 Anguished Unmaking, white, black, and 1. Instant speed, exile target non-land permanent, you lose 3 life. The 3 life loss is significant, but in the meta on Magic Duels, being able to remove Planeswalkers, Ulamog, and other such things that normal removal don't deal with is a necessity. 3 Read the Bones for some card draw. For a black and 2, we scry 2 and then draw 2 and lose 2 life. 1 Liliana, the Last Hope, one of the new Planeswalkers. For 2 black and 1, she is a 3 loyalty Planeswalker. Her +1 ability is to give up to 1 target creature -2/-1 until the next turn. Her -2 is put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you may return a creature from your graveyard to your hand. And her ultimate is -7. You get an emblem with, at the beginning of your end step, put X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is 2 plus the number of zombies you control. I have ultimated her a couple of times in testing with this deck, and let me tell you, if you're not about to die immediately, that emblem just straight out wins the game. 1 Gisela, the Broken Blade. For 2 white and 2, she is a 4/3 flying first strike lifelink, baby Baneslayer Angel if you will. At the beginning of your end step, if you both own and control Gisela, the Broken Blade, and a creature named Bruna, the Fading Light, exile them, then meld them into Brisella, Voice of Nightmares, who is this monstrosity, a 9/10 flying first strike vigilance lifelink that also prevents your opponent from casting spells with converted mana cost 3 or less. And Bruna is in this deck, so we could possibly pull this off, though I have not yet. We're running Kalitas, Traitor of Ghet, because even though he's not an angel, he is just one of the best control creatures available to us. For 2 black and 2, we get a lifelink 3/4. that if a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead, and put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. We can also pay 2 and a black to sacrifice another vampire or zombie, and put 2+1/+1 counters on Kalitas. 2 Languish, because we've got to sweep the board to survive in this game. 2 black and 2, all creatures get -4/-4 until end of turn. 1 Gideon, ally of Zendikar, 2 and 2 white. For a 4 loyalty planeswalker, his +1 turns him into a 5/5 human soldier ally till end of turn. It's indestructible and prevent all damage that would be dealt to him this turn. His 0 ability is put a 2/2 white knight ally onto the battlefield, and his -4 is you get an emblem with creatures you control get +1/+1. Here we see some more of our angel arsenal. Archangel Avacyn is 3 and 2 white for a 4/4 flash, flying, vigilance. When she enters the battlefield, all our creatures gain indestructible until end of turn, and if a non-angel creature you control dies, transform her at the beginning of the next upkeep, which is a little bit more difficult to accomplish in this deck, seeing as how most of the creatures are angels, but we do have a couple that aren't, plus we can generate a few zombie tokens. And her flip side is Avacyn the Purifier, a 6/5 flyer, that when she transforms into Avacyn the Purifier, deals 3 damage to each other creature and each opponent. 1 Hixus, Prism Warden. For 3 and 2 white, we get a 4/4 flash. And whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, if Hixus Prism Warden entered the battlefield this turn, exile that creature until Hixus leaves the battlefield. I'm running Hixus because he is a decent 5-drop who is a human, so as you can see, Bruna will have some synergy with him. We'll get to that in a minute. And we don't really have a better option at present. If Thalia's Lancers had been put into the game, we would be playing that. But as it is, it isn't. So we take what we can get. We are also running another sweeper as a 2 of Planar Outburst. 3 and 2 white. Destroy all non-land creatures. Awaken 4. If we pay 8 mana, we can make one of our lands a 4/4 creature. We are running 1 Ob Nixilis, 3 and 2 black for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. His +1 is we draw a card and lose a life. His -3 is destroy target creature, and his ultimate is -8. Target opponent gets an emblem with whenever a player draws a card, you lose 2 life. Linvala the Preserver continues our angel onslaught. For 4 and 2 white, we get a flying 5/5, and when she enters the battlefield, if an opponent has more life than us, we gain 5 life. And when she enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more creatures than us, we get another 3/3 white angel. So that is great for stabilizing the board from a behind position. 1 Sorin, Grim Nemesis. 4, a white and a black, gives us a 6 loyalty planeswalker. His +1 is reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. Each opponent loses life equal to its converted mana cost, which is a very good ability in this deck. In testing, I have often done a ton of damage to my opponent with the +1 ability. His -X is you choose the amount you take off of his loyalty, and he deals X damage to a creature or planeswalker, and we gain that much life, which is also great at helping us stay alive. And his ultimate, which I again have never done, is -9. Put a number of 1/1 black vampire knight creature tokens with lifelink onto the battlefield, equal to the highest life total among all players. And here she is, we mentioned before, Bruna the Fading Light. We could be running 2, we're only running 1. It is 5 and 2 white for a 5/7 flyer with vigilance, and when we cast her, we can return target angel or human creature card from our graveyard to the battlefield, so she can bring back Hixus or one of the other angels. And when we meld her with Gisela the Broken Blade, again we get Gisela, Voice of Nightmares. Our land base is 8 plains, 9 swamps, 2 shambling vents, 2 isolated chapel, 1 Geier Reach Sanitarium, and I'm not sure that's how that's pronounced. It's my best guess. And 4 Forsaken Sanctuary. And even though those come into play tapped all the time, we do need the mana fixing because we've got a lot of double black and double white costs in this deck. Without further ado though, let's get to the gameplay. Alright, we've got a ton of removal in hand. I think this is a good keep. We have 3 lands also. This deck is very mana hungry. We want to make land drops every turn if possible. Looks like we're playing against a humans build. Gideon makes his appearance. Luckily we do have removal for him. We'll lead off with our comes into play land, tapped land. Forsaken Sanctuary there and pass back. We'll see what the opponent is up to. We will most likely be casting Declaration in Stone on Gideon next turn so that our opponent cannot get to the point of using his ability here to make him indestructible and prevent us from killing him. Which Declaration in Stone could do anyway, but it's also great with this deck to save as much of our life total as possible because several of our cards do require us to spend life to use them. We will now be playing an untapped land and Declaration in Stoning Gideon. Hopefully we will be able to remove Thalia's Lieutenant next turn, as she can also become a very significant threat on her own. And we do have Planar Outburst when we reach our 5 mana mark, which we are sure to if we live that long. Alright, Expedition Envoy. And as much as I would like to just hold back and sweep a bunch of creatures with Planar Outburst again, we really do need to save our life total. I imagine we'll be dropping Oath of Liliana next turn, which may cause us to take 1 or 2 more damage than necessary because they're almost certainly going to sack the Expedition Envoy. In that case, it may be best just to play the Murder. No, I'm going to go ahead and do Oath of... No, I am... Sorry, waffling back and forth here. Yeah, I'm going to play the Oath. Let them sack the Expedition Envoy there. Then we can murder Thalia's Lieutenant the next turn. And we'll be set up on turn 5 to Planar Outburst. We'll play our other Forsaken Sanctuary as our land drop next turn. And there is Gisela. So we actually will probably be murdering Gisela, as we're actually not taking extra damage from Thalia's Lieutenant at present, which is great. Although they are getting us fairly low in life total, 13 isn't too bad. There's our Bruna. Play our Forsaken Sanctuary, and just to avoid any combat tricks, we're going to go ahead and murder Gisela right now. And hopefully our opponent will flood the board with a few creatures this turn so that we can Planar Outburst and get at least a 2-for-1. Would love to get a 3-for-1 or more. Relic Seeker, so they are playing an equipment in their deck, probably. They could just be playing this for the renown, and they are playing out 2 creatures. We're going to be taking 4, but we'll be getting a 3-for-1 on the next turn, which hopefully will set us up into a good position depending on what our next few card draws are. And our opponent also didn't get a trigger to get a plains from the Knight of the White Orchid, so that's great for us. Alrighty, we will go ahead and Outburst. There we go. And hopefully we will be able to stabilize here. They do still have 2 cards in hand. 3 after the draw there. Gideon is bad news, but we can Anguish Unmake it. However, he will probably leave behind a 2/2 Knight ally that could give us a bit of a fit. We are just 1 mana away from playing Bruna. There is Ob Nixilis too, so Ob can deal with this. But the most pressing thing at the moment is getting Gideon off of the board. So we will do that. Also, Ob will give us a zombie on the turn we play him because of Oath of Liliana. So that's great. We're going to be getting very low on life here. It's going to be kind of touch and go as to whether we get through this. Always watching makes it a bit more difficult. Luckily, it doesn't pump up this Knight token, as its only non-token creatures get the abilities from it, the +1/+1 and Vigilance. There's Declaration in Stone, so that is good as well. However, we really need to get Ob on the board and hopefully establish a presence that will keep us alive. We need to destroy this non-token creature here. And our zombie will hopefully be able to block this Knight ally if it doesn't get removed by Declaration in Stone or some other removal spell. And there is the Declaration in Stone. I expect our opponent will attack us directly instead of Ob. Looks like they're trying to decide which is the more pertinent to deal with. And they are going after Ob Nixilis. That helps us out a little bit as we get to keep our 4 life total. There is Anguished Unmaking. We also have Declaration in Stone. Unfortunately, this is going to put us to 1 life. We will Declaration in Stone the token as it doesn't give them a clue. And we will go ahead and unmake the Expedition Envoy. And go to 1. Opponent is not playing anything. They could be holding a land in hand, or that could be their declaration, their second Declaration in Stone, or some other trick. We do not have an angel or human to bring back with Bruna, but I feel we need to get her onto the board. If she gets killed, at least we will get a clue, at least most likely. If it's a Declaration in Stone, we will get a clue. She also does a good job of playing both offense and defense at the same time. There is Thalia. Glad that didn't come down a turn earlier. So now if the opponent has removal, we are dead, barring top decking removal, which we did not. We can't cast this. It will kill us. That's removal in our opponent's hand. They will kill our Bruna and then kill us. Let's go ahead and attack for 5. Alright, let's see what the opponent's got going on here. Hopefully nothing. A second always watching. Well, that's not super significant at the moment, though it could get there if they play some more creatures. However, the smallest of creatures can do some damage to us right now. We will hold this dead weight to remove any tokens that may come into play. It's not going to do a really good job of killing anything else with 2 always watchings out. Alright, we've got 2 more turns to kill the opponent. If they don't get something going by then, we will pull this game out. Everything is very precarious, though, at the moment. Token Freeblade is a problem. Deadweight cannot deal with that. So either one of these creatures is lethal. We need removal right now, and that is not removal. So we lose if they attack, which they almost certainly will. All right. Alright, the White Orchid does get his trigger this time. And they were holding a land all those turns. And we are dead. We almost got there, stabilizing at 1 life. Good game. Okay, I don't think we can keep this hand. We have way too many black spells and no black mana. This is a bit better. We can cast both Declaration in Stone and Anguished Unmaking, and we're only 1 black off of Grasp. And with 2 more lands, whatever they be, maybe we can cast Hixus, so that's good. Definitely better than our opener. We'll drop the Swamp first. Try to plan to draw a Swamp for Grasp of Darkness. Looks like we may be up against vampires, and it appears to be either that or just a madness build with a discard outlet here. There is Isolated Chapel, so I'm happy to see that. We can now cast our Grasp, and we're only 1 mana off of Hixus. We may use this Anguished Unmaking to get rid of this Call of the Bloodline, or Call the Bloodline. No of in the title. Okay, they are discarding to make a vampire, and they are madnessing a Fiery Temper on us, so we do need to deal with this Call the Bloodline. Taking 3, and they're getting a 1/1 lifelinker, I believe. Yeah, lifelink. They can only do that once per turn, but they can do it on their turn and on our turn if cards in hand and mana available permit. Here, I think we are just going to... I think I'm going to pass and just see what happens. We've got Declaration in Stone to take care of tokens if they amass a bunch of tokens. And if they do something else, then we'll deal with that. Otherwise, I'm going to unmake the Call the Bloodline. If I had had 1 card less in hand, I would have went ahead and cast Read the Bones, but I prefer not to discard unnecessarily here. Senseless Rage. Okay. So, I suppose we're just going to grasp this token now. And preserve our life total there. And they missed a land drop, so they can't make another vampire at present. Liliana is a good draw. I think we will be deploying her. And we will tick her up. Hopefully out of removal range here. That will give us, hopefully, inevitability if we can get up and do the -7. Nearly infinite zombies is a good way to win the game. And the opponent has been replaced by AI. We'll continue playing. That is a bit of an early concession, even though they are stuck on 2 lands here and didn't make a play. We will plus Liliana. And now I will Read the Bones before we play the Shambling Vent, though it's almost certainly the land we are going to play. Let's see. I do not have an Oath of Liliana yet, and I wouldn't mind having another land. Yeah, we'll keep both of these. Confirm. And we will play the Shambling Vents. Or Vent. Shambling Vent. There we go. Looks like they are making another vampire. They don't have the mana to pay the madness on Incorrigible Youths, which is good for us. Luckily, Liliana is good at dealing with these token creatures here with her plus ability. Just outright kills them. Looks like they're making another vampire. So, we will play our planes. And then we will plus Lily on one of these vamps. And pass the turn. I want to deploy Hixus this turn. Get a source of damage into play so that we can start winning the game. And he will deal with both of these. We'll be able to block one, and when the other one deals damage, it will exile it. And it won't come back since it's a token, even if they kill Hixus. Alright, that's fine. That guy can pump up other vamps. Here they come. Want to make sure to flash in Hixus before blockers. Alright, they are both coming at Liliana. We will go ahead and play Hixus. And block one of them. So Lily will go back down to 4. She's holding her own though. She's pretty good at controlling the board. And we will play a plains and uptick her to kill this non-token vampire. And I suppose we'll go ahead and deal with the token as well. Make them sacrifice a creature. We're also going to activate our Shambling Vent so that we can get not only some extra damage on the opponent, but some life gain, even though we are at a fairly safe life total at the moment. Alright, looks like they are making yet more vampires. What was this? Okay, it's one of the cohort allies. I imagine that vamp will be coming probably at Liliana because that's what the AI opponent seems to be wanting to do. I don't blame them really. An ultimated Liliana is pretty much game over. Commentary at this point is switching over to post-commentary, as unfortunately several thunderstorms rolled through during the recording of these videos, and the rain and thunder were so loud that they came through on my commentary and it was useless. So at several points I'm going to be switching over and doing other commentary after the fact, kind of trying to interweave throughout here. Alright, looks like we are ticking up Liliana to remove a vampire token. And then we are going to activate Shambling Vents and swing with both of our creatures, trying to put a bit of a clock on the opponent as well as gain some life. Eventually we are going to have to deal with that Call the Bloodline. As of right now though, it's not terribly efficient for the opponent to be using. However, here they are discarding a Madness card, but don't have the mana to actually pay the Madness cost. That is quite unfortunate. The opponent probably should be running a few more lands in their deck. They have been stuck on 2 for a very long time here. They are up to 3 vampire tokens though. So I think we're probably going to be Anguished Unmaking the Call the Bloodline and then Declaration and Stoning the tokens off of the battlefield. We can more than afford to pay this 3 life at this point, so bye-bye enchantment. Hello, Declaration and Stone, and since they're tokens, the opponent gets no clues. And we still have the mana to activate our Shambling Vent and get in there. Gotta remember to tick up Liliana also. Nice that it's worded as up to 1 creature, so we don't have to target our own with her minus ability. And it looks like we are in pretty good position here to just close it out. The opponent finally got a 3rd land and is able to cast a Vampire Envoy. I don't think that is going to be a terribly big issue to us at this point. It's taken far too long for them to get there. Go ahead and kill that guy. We also could have Grasp of Darknessed it, but wanting to use our mana efficiently. Tick up on nothing. And put the opponent within 1 swing of dying. Pass on back. See if they can muster anything that will keep them alive for another turn. And we are not going to activate our Shambling Vent here, because if we activate the Shambling Vent, we no longer have the mana up to kill a Madness creature if they have the ability to play it out here. And if that's the case, then we would only get through 2 damage, because they would block Hixus, and we wouldn't win the game on this turn. So I think it's better to hold up the removal and just swing with Hixus. Alright, I think that we can keep this hand. It is a little awkward with Bruna and Ob, but our 2 removal spells here are good. The rain has slacked off quite a bit here. Hopefully it doesn't pick back up again, otherwise I'm going to have to scrap a large portion of this video. If you're watching this, then that means everything worked out okay. Go ahead and lead off with our Forsaken Sanctuary. The Sorin was a bit of a unfortunate draw there. Would like to be drawing more lands. Alright, it's looking like the opponent may be mono-red, but they're getting a very slow start if they are. There's our Geier Reach Sanctum, or Geier Reach Sanctum, whichever way it's pronounced. We'll play our Swamp and pass. Alright, looks like this opponent is stuck on 2 lands as well. I always advocate for more lands in your decks, people. I've had a lot of comments, people wondering why I often run 25, 26, and even 27 lands in my decks, and this is why. I prefer to be able to actually cast my spells. If they have some madness, they can go ahead and cast this, and they do. So that's fine for them. Alrighty. Well, we will play out a Plains and pass. We're going to be able to cast the Blessed Alliance with Escalate here, not only making them sacrifice this thing when it attacks, but gaining 4 life. And I don't know if they quit or if it was server issues, connection problems, but they're gone. So we're going to have them sack and us gain 4 life. We will gain the 4 life and you will sack a creature. Thank you very much. And discarding again, this time without madness. So we will play Ob Nixilis and start drawing cards. Kalitas is a very good draw. He's something that we can play early that has a significant impact on the board. Alright, Ravenous Bloodseeker from the opponent. And they aren't mono red as is evinced by this elusive Tormentor here. Okay, well, we are going to play out. I want the Geier Reach Sanctum to be tapped, please. Like that. And then we will use Ob to destroy this, generating us a 2/2 zombie from Kalitas here. And as it sits, it looks like we are going to run away with this game rather quickly. Alright, a third land for the opponent, but still no black mana. There's a Fiery Temper, probably to kill the zombie here. Oh, to kill Ob Nix. That's probably a better use of it. Well, we are going to play out Sorin. If the game will pick up on my click, there it goes. And plus it. Okay, do 3 to the opponent. And swing for an additional 5 while gaining 3 life ourselves. We could have cast Bruna that turn, but I would prefer to use her to reanimate something at a later date if possible. And there is another Fiery Temper, also pointed at our Planeswalker. That's not going to be enough to keep Sorin in check, though, I don't think. Alright, we will drop a land. And we will plus Sorin. There's a nice murder. Go ahead and swing for 5. And I think we will also read the bones here. That will leave us enough mana to flash in Hixus on our opponent's instep. I don't want either of these. That's a bit better. Alright, pause. Here comes Hixus. Right down Prism Warden Lane. Let's see if we can kill the opponent with Sorin here. Close. Very close. Hopefully our next opponent will have a bit better luck with their opening hands or a few more lands in their deck. Okay, we've got a lot of comes into play tapped lands, but I'm very happy with the removal plus the Read the Bones, so I'm going to keep this. And we will lead off with the Shambling Vent. If we get a basic at some point, the Isolated Chapel can actually come into play untapped. Alright. Opponent's leading off with an Oath of Nissa. Let's see what they get from the top 3. Alright. Nissa herself. So I don't know if we're looking at a deck that's just running Nissa, or if it's a deck that is Super Friends Planeswalker based, which was very popular near the end, middle to end, I guess, of the format before Eldritch Moon was released. Okay, so we're facing red-green at the very least. I think here we want to play an untapped land. There we go, and Read the Bones, which will take us back up to 7 cards. I don't think we want either of these at the moment. Well, we didn't want 2 more lands either, but at least that got us through a land pocket. Nissa, yep, coming down here. And making a plant token. We're going to need to put some kind of pressure on Nissa if possible. Linvala could maybe do that. We will be playing our Isolated Chapel and then animating our Shambling Vent and attacking Nissa. Opponent will almost certainly be blocking with this plant, but it is good to keep a little bit of pressure on there. Yep, there we go. Also give us back the 2 life we lost for playing Read the Bones. Tireless Tracker, very good card. And they do have a land drop to trigger the clue. Rogue's Passage could prove to be a bit of an issue here. But hopefully we can pull out of this situation. Liliana's good also. I think that we will be playing her and killing Tireless Tracker this turn. So we need to play our Plains. Then we will play Lily. And we will grasp the tracker before it gets out of hand. And we'll plus Lily on the plant to kill it. Next turn we have mana for Linvala the Preserver. If they play a second creature besides the one generated by Nissa here, then we will also get the Angel from Linvala. Okay, here comes the plant. And they sack the clue. It does appear that our opponent is straight red-green at present. There's Lifespring Druid, so we'll be able to get our Angel trigger from Linvala. That is good. Alright, we will drop this Swamp and play out Linvala. Then we will kill this Druid with Liliana. Making sure to do that after the Linvala's cast so that we got the Angel trigger. And hopefully we'll be able to deal with Nissa now that we have 2 flyers in play. Woodland Bellower. Wonder what green creature they are going to choose to fetch with that. Another Tireless Tracker, okay. We will be killing one of these with Declaration in Stone. They chose to tick down Nissa. That's good. We only have to send Linvala herself to kill Nissa now. Hello again. Post-commentary Tevaron back in action as the rainstorm decided to turn around and come back for another shot at us. We're in a bit of a predicament here. We've got some rather large creatures. The Tireless Tracker also netting the opponent some card advantage. However, the 7/6 bear there, Woodland Bellower, is the more pressing threat, so we're going to declare in stone it. We're trying very much to keep our opponent from killing Liliana if possible here. They still can do it with their Tireless Tracker, so we're going to go ahead and shrink it. With the Tireless Tracker, all they would need to do would be to pop a clue, which would make it big enough to kill Lily, and then Rogue's Passage it. Going to go ahead and take out Nissa as well. Well, I guess it wouldn't make the tracker actually big enough to kill Lily if she's at 6, but it would put her very low, and we're almost at the point of being able to ultimate Lily, which would be a very game-winning play. Grove Rumbler, so the opponent does have a bit of a landfall theme, not just with the Tireless Tracker, but with Grove Rumbler cards that actually have the landfall keyword on them. Generating a ton of clues here. Very happy that that Grove Rumbler cannot attack this turn, as it's huge. Also very nice that the opponent tapped completely out to the point that they can't use the Rogue's Passage to give their Tireless Tracker unblockability. Anguished Unmaking is a good draw. So what we're going to do here is hold up the Anguished Unmaking to remove whichever of their creatures they use Rogue's Passage on, so that we can stop it from killing Liliana, hopefully. If they somehow get enough triggers on that Grove Rumbler to get over top of our creatures with trample, it does have trample, then them giving their Tireless Tracker unblockability will be very bad, as we might not be able to prevent Liliana from dying. Also holding our creatures back to block. We're just banking on ultimating Lily here to win this game. Alright, there is one trigger for a clue and for Grove Rumbler, making it a 5/5. Animus Awakening. Okay, this could be very bad. How many lands will you see? 2. So, not as bad as it could otherwise be. Very happy we have this Anguished Unmaking in hand. We will definitely be using that on the Grove Rumbler. Yep. And since they also had to swing with the Tireless Tracker to try to deal some damage to Liliana and prevent her from ultimating, we'll also be able to trade our Linvala for it, getting it off the board. Alright, well, we're coming back up to the point where our regular commentary is actually listenable, so I'll send you back to that. Let's go ahead and ultimate Lily, shall we? Since we managed to get there. And we'll also read the bones. Yeah, we'll take both of these, I think. The Languish just in case. Play our Forsaken Sanctuary. And play our Gideon. And hopefully start taking control of the game. Put out a Knight Ally, please. And I'm going to swing with this Angel, as they can make this plant unblockable if they want to in any event. Our Zombies, please, emblem. Thank you. Arlen Cord, okay. I don't think she's going to be much of an issue now that we've got our Liliana emblem. And Tamio's Journal, okay. And Westvale Abbey, okay. Lots of different tools available here. I don't think they're going to be fast enough for the opponent to get back into this game, though. Makes a wolf. And sacks some clues to tutor with Tamio's Journal. We will probably be finding out what that tutored for card is shortly. And just sacking a clue, too. Alrighty. Good deal for us. We will activate Gideon as a 5/5 indestructible. We will also animate our Shambling Vent. And our other Shambling Vent. Yeah, that's fine. And swing out. All at the opponent. Don't really care about Arlen Cord at the moment. Alright, yeah, they have to block something because we're swinging with 18 damage. Putting them to 4 and generating some more zombies. Lily's emblem gets really, really out of control really, really fast. Opponent is at Ulamog mana, however, Ulamog cannot do anything to the emblem. Emblems generated by Planeswalkers cannot be interacted with in any way. Okay, Primal Bellow. He's Trample. And we're dead. Good deal then. Not much we can do about that. Sometimes you fight for board control, establish it with a healthy life total, and then Primal Bellow and Chandra's Ignition just flat out kill you. I am going to chance keeping this. Don't usually like to keep 2 mana hands, but we're very close to being able to cast most of these things, and we can cast the Blessed Alliance as it sits. And there we go, we got a swamp off the top, so that's great. Looks like we're playing against an aggro deck of some sort. Thornbow Archer is a very aggressive creature. Alright, black-green, it may just be elves. Haven't faced an actual elf deck in a long time on here. Languish would be very good versus elves, if that's what it is. We'll go ahead and play our swamp and pass back. Don't know if we're going to Blessed Alliance this Thornbow Archer or not. I think I'm going to hold off. At present, I don't think it's worth dealing with when we can maybe get a 2-for-1 from Languish, now that we for sure are going to be able to cast it on turn 4. And there's Nissa. So we'll be taking 4 damage, going to 12 next turn. Then we can Languish and hopefully gain some life back with Blessed Alliance. We'll play out our planes and pass back. If they decide to pump one of these with something that's a little bit too much damage, we can just go ahead and murder it. Alright, trigger from this, dealing us 1 life loss, then 3 damage from combat. And Lysolana Huntmaster, going to be very, very happy to languish that elf right there away in particular, as it makes an army all by itself. And here we go. Hopefully we'll draw a couple more lands. Would very much like to play Ob Nixilis here shortly, though Gideon is fine to play too. Sylvan Advocate, yup. And Eyeblight Assassin. Yep, this is just straight up an elf deck. Read the bones. I'm going to try to hit a land drop here. May bite us really hard if we don't manage, but we did. I do want both of these. Alright. And I'm going to go ahead and Declaration in Stone this Sylvan Advocate, because if they have another land to drop next turn, that will make this guy bigger. Pump him up to a 4/5. Okay, so that trigger has already been gone. Wasn't sure if Eyeblight Assassin actually did anything else significant. Okay, going to 8. And another Eyeblight Assassin, okay. And a land, that's good. So, we can both murder and cast Blessed Alliance. Or we could just Blessed Alliance with Escalate and then cast the other Blessed Alliance. I think that's probably the best play. So hopefully we'll be able to remove both of these creatures when they attack this turn and gain 4 life back up to 12. Okay, there's one of the Elf Lords. +1/+1. Okay, let's pause. We are going to have you sack, and we're going to gain 4 life. We will gain the life. You sacrifice the creature. That's fine. Oops, no, cast this. And sacrifice another creature, please. That makes our life total quite a bit healthier here. And now we will drop Ob Nixilis and kill this Elf Lord. Although Ob will get killed in return by this hissing quagmire. So maybe we don't want to do that. Perhaps we just want to play Gideon and make a knight, and then we can grasp the Elf Lord. It's probably the safer play. Gives us the greatest chance of keeping our Planeswalker out there. Right, make me a knight ally, please. And we're not going to wait. We're going to go ahead and grasp the Elf Lord right now. Make it less likely that they can save it with a pump effect. Alright, they're going to Reave Soul the token and probably attack Gideon for 2. Looks like that's the case. Alrighty. Glad to keep hitting land drops here. I think we want to... We could just hold up Murder. But I think I want to play out Ob and start drawing some cards here. Kind of mistapped my land there. Should have paid more attention and made sure it tapped the Geier Sanctum. Linvala is a good draw. Well, let's go ahead and attack for 5 with Gideon. Opponent's down to 2 cards in hand. They'll have 3 on the draw. The only thing on board that can do anything right now is Hissing Quagmire. All in all, we're in pretty good shape. Looks like they're going to continue to crash with the Quagmire. Right, taking Gideon down to 1 loyalty. But 1 loyalty is not dead, so that's great. They also made a land drop, okay. Well, let's draw a card, please. Avacyn, very good. And we will again plus Gideon and swing for 5. We will hold up to flash in Avacyn to protect Gideon this coming turn. Okay, Hissing Quagmire is getting activated again. Let's hope they don't have instant speed removal in hand. Flash in Avacyn. Okay, her indestructible trigger resolves, so she can safely block this Death Touch creature here. And Hixus, good. Well, let's go ahead and draw a card. Deadweight, okay. Make Gideon a creature yet again. And we'll swing for 9. We really should have played Linvala pre-combat so that we would get her trigger to gain 5 life, because the opponent will be lower now. Still, we'll go ahead and deploy her post-combat. And we'll swing for, hopefully, the win. Well, that will be it for this episode of Friday Night Magic. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please leave a like below. It really does help. If you didn't like the video, the dislike button's right beside the like button. Also, how are you liking playing with Eldritch Moon in Magic Duels? Comment below, let me know, and until next time, friends, be excellent to each other.